Hello, hi everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us here at Block Life Asia. We'll wait for a few minutes before everyone else come in. Quick introduction of myself. I'm Jia Wen. I'm from Grounded. Grounded.work is the company that is an organizer of Block Life Asia. Our website is www.grounded.work. We are a blockchain advisory firm working with some of the hottest projects in DeFi right now. So if you want to do a project in DeFi or you want to introduce your company to DeFi, email us at hello@grounded.work. We will read and reply to every single email. So I can see that the numbers are coming in. We'll probably start in a minute or so. So maybe, just to get everyone started, if you have any question, you can ask the question. You can also upvote the questions that you want answered from your fellow participants. And if we have some time, our speakers will choose a few questions to answer at the end. And without further ado, let's jump into the event. We are on a tight schedule. So our first speaker today is Adam Bloomberg, the co-founder of Interaxis. So Interaxis is a great educator in the DeFi space, and you can visit their YouTube channel anytime. I'll put it at the bottom of the channel. I am going to bring Adam right on stage now. Adam, you'll be on in a few seconds. So while we are waiting for Adam to come on board, just to let you know, there'll be 4 more speakers later today. And Adam is on. Hi, Adam. Over to you.
How are you?
All right, you can begin now.
All right. Can you see me okay?
You look great, Adam.
Thank you. Make sure. Okay, are you ready? Can you hear me? Yes, of course.
Yep, Adam, we could hear you great, and we see your whiteboard. You're good to go.
Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about, to start this off, what DeFi is. And Lisa, I'm going to count on you to let me know if we have any questions, okay? Because I can't really read my screen from here. We're going to talk a little bit about what DeFi is, because that's the purpose, I guess, of this entire session, this entire 2 hours you put it on. So let me know if we're good and you can hear me okay.
Adam, I think we can hear you better now. I can hear some background sound. Could you do a test? Say something to us.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. Now can you see? Now we're good. Yes? All right, here we go. So we're going to talk real quickly about what DeFi is. And DeFi, of course, stands for decentralized finance. So the idea of something decentralized, of course, is to take out decentralization. So when we start thinking about decentralized, we have to go back to the origins of DeFi, of crypto, and of course that is Bitcoin. And the idea of Bitcoin is that this group of people wanted to give us a decentralized form of money, some form of money that would take us away from the banking system and take us away from the governments that controlled the value of money and controlled the transfer and the supply of money. Okay, so they gave us Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has been incredibly successful in giving us decentralized money. It gave us the ability, it gave those of us that connected to the network the ability to not only create it, but also to move it back and forth across the world. So Bitcoin gave us the first money, okay? And decentralized money was really important. This was the ethos. This was the idea of Bitcoin. But those that created it weren't sure it was going to work, and they weren't sure that it was going to be successful. And what happened was it became incredibly successful. We can discuss, you can go back and forth and discuss whether or not the success was based on things like drugs and guns and all these other reasons that you might use Bitcoin to transact around the world. But the fact of the matter is, Bitcoin has been successful in this ability to transfer value, transfer money anywhere in the world at any time without having to ask anyone's permission. And that's what's so important about Bitcoin. Now, the problem with Bitcoin wasn't really programmable, okay? And of course, there's some debate about that. But you had decentralized money, decentralized value that can move back and forth around the world, but we didn't have the ability to actually program it and tell it what to do. So some of the geniuses that created, that are developers, programmers, and such said, we really like what Bitcoin has. We like the idea of money that we can move back and forth around the world, but we can make it better. How do we make it better? We have the ability to program money, program value. So decentralized finance essentially has given us the ability to take money, take this decentralized idea of money, and now add programmability. Okay, and the programmability is really important because now I can take certain functions of money and certain functions of value and scale them. Certain things that I could only do previously one-on-one, peer-to-peer with someone I know, I can now scale it. What's an example of that? In our videos, we talk about the ubiquitous Adam and Ron transactions, okay? If Adam has $100 and Ron needs to borrow $100, I can lend Ron the money. And we can do this because we have a level of trust between us, because I know him. I know he's probably going to pay me back the money. I can charge him some interest rate based on whatever is going on in my life and his life and the ability that I think he will have to repay this money. Now, of course, remember, I might give him a check. He might deposit that check in his bank. His bank is going to ask my bank, does Adam have the money? My bank's going to say, yes, Adam has the money. His bank says, okay, wire us the $100. We'll put it in Ron's account. This is all the traditional finance transaction that has to take place. The ability to have programmable money, decentralized money first, with the idea of Bitcoin, and now we've gone farther with Ethereum, and we've been able to say, okay, now we can program it and tell it what we want it to do. And now we can take this whole transaction. Bitcoin took this transaction and made it decentralized. Now, with DeFi, we're taking this transaction and making it decentralized. The ability to outsource this trust, this relationship, my giving Ron a loan and expecting him to pay me back is great, except it doesn't scale. It doesn't go on a national, worldwide level very easily, which is why in the past we've had to outsource that function. We've had to ask banks and governments to take on that function of taking this relationship and making it bigger. Okay, and we put that in the hands of banks. We put that in the hands of governments. We put that in the hands of other types of companies. And with the advent of decentralized finance and Ethereum and programmable money, now we can take this relationship and we can scale it and we can make it big. Because now all the atoms of the world can find all the Rons of the world, and we don't even have to know each other, and we can make this relationship encoded. We can encode it in a blockchain that is permanent, that is transparent, it's immutable. All these things because now we can program money. So DeFi, if Bitcoin gave us a computer, okay, Bitcoin gave us, imagine one of those monster computers from the 1960s that can run like 2 functions, but it can just calculate things really fast. That's the equivalent of Bitcoin. DeFi has given us an operating system. It gives me the ability to go do something on my keyboard and have the computer completely create some other sort of function. Do something that I didn't have to program it to do it. It just knows how to do that. That's what DeFi has given us. It's the operating system for money. And once we have that, we can take little relationships like this and scale them. And talented programmers, talented developers are finding all sorts of ways that we can program money now. And one of the ways that we've seen is to program money, stable coins, right? So they figured out how to program money and say, we want you to equal $1. We want you to equal €1. Except that now, instead of it being $1 or €1 or a Bitcoin, it's something like a dime, okay? We want it to be, and how are we going to do that? We are going to program certain code to give people incentives to put money in and to give other people incentives to take money out. We're going to change interest rates, and we're going to make this scalable because of this ability to program. Okay, we are going to create things like loans, lending. Again, just like the example I had with Ron. Once we can program this, we can take all the Adam-Ron relationships and make them bigger and say, what are we going to do? We want more people to borrow money. How do we give them the incentive to borrow money? We lower the interest rate, create demand. Okay, now we need money to give to people to borrow. What do? We increase this interest rate over here. More people will contribute money to this pool, and therefore we'll have more to lend. We're going to create demand, and this can all be programmable. Okay, we can have if-then statements. If the demand drops, lower the interest rate. If the demand goes up and there's too much supply, raise the interest rate. You can do that once it's programmable. And now we can take this code, say, okay, once I have the ability to earn interest on the money that I've contributed here, now what can I do? Oh, I can now send that money. I can send that token, in this case, to somebody else. And now they are earning the money that I was earning. And so you add this programmability to this unbelievable, what we call composability. Okay, and composability is the ability to build on top of each other. Okay, so you can have a stable coin that I can lend, which I can then send, which someone else can then use as collateral to borrow. Okay, and it all started with the same asset. The fact that it's now programmable and composable means that now the number of things I can do with my money is absolutely astounding. And what the developers are doing now to build on top of each other and to create an entire financial structure that is the way we would design it if we had to start now. It's not taking the old traditional finance and just barely building on top of each other. It's taking what we know of finance and what we know that we need and going, how would we build this now based on the way the world is and the internet is and such. So that is the basics of DeFi. The basics of DeFi are it's programmable money. It's the operating system of money. It's the equivalent of giving us a remote control now and saying, now you can go control the robot. You had the robot with Bitcoin, now you get the opportunity to control. So with that, I'm going to stop and see what kind of questions we have. Anything? Lisa, do we have any questions? How am I doing on time? We're good? So I'll
Adam, you have a question that's been upvoted 4 times. What are some of the risks concerning DeFi?
I'm not going to risk concerning DeFi. I know you're going to have people talking about risks later, so I won't get into them too much. But when you have anything that's programmable like this, okay, remember, think about when you're using your computer or using your phone, right? Every once in a while you get error messages. Okay, so you get some error message on your phone, you get some error message on your computer, and what can you do? You can just reboot, shut down, whatever it might be. Occasionally on your phone or your computer, you get viruses, right? And you have to restart them. You have to occasionally use some sort of virus software or whatever. But imagine that with your money. Okay, so now you can get an error, you can get a virus, whatever, but it's on your money. And the problem is, if there's a hack, if there's an error, something like that with my bank, the problem with the bank is it's centralized. But the good part is that it's centralized. There's an 800 number I can call. If there's a problem with my decentralized, my programmable money, there's no 800 number to call. There's no one. So once my money is stolen from a particular application or protocol or whatever it might be, once it moves out of my wallet into someone else's wallet, there's really no way to recover. Okay, so that is the biggest risk. Some of these protocols are pretty new, haven't been tested. They're developed by people who are really talented, but haven't necessarily been around the financial world for a really long time. It's generally younger people, and they haven't really been around this world and seen what is out there. So that's probably the biggest risk. But I know you'll have people later talking about other risks. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, another question from the audience. Isn't it dangerous that DeFi is allowing anyone to play God in the monetary system?
Did anyone do what?
Play God in the monetary system.
It can get dangerous protocols to get released on the Ethereum blockchain or any of these other blockchains. Anyone can go release them. It's up to us to, one, do our homework, to try to make sure that if I'm going to put my money, if I'm going to put my funds, my assets, my ETH or anything else inside of any sort of protocol or any sort of product like that, that I make sure that it's audited, that I make sure that I'm not putting everything I can in there. You can play all sorts of games that you want within the operating system, within Ethereum, but that doesn't mean that other people are going to put their money in. Okay, so it is more incumbent on those that are investing or those that are lending or those that are using the system. It is more incumbent on us to take care of it, to secure our own money, to secure our own funds, because we've gotten so used to letting the banks and the investment companies handle that and knowing that if there's a problem, I can call them. Well, now I don't have that anymore. So anyone can go throw out code on Ethereum, and I just have to be vigilant and say, maybe I'm not going to put my money there because I haven't tested it, or maybe I'm going to try it out with $50 first and see what happens for a while. Okay, so it's now incumbent on us to be much more vigilant and make sure that we are keeping our own money safe. Is that good? My time up?
Yeah, I think we are. I think our time is up now. I heard from the audience that there is a lot of frequency when two speakers speak at the same time. So, Adam, I've muted you for now. Thank you very much for giving us your time. Guys, Adam's Twitter account is below. Please follow him on Twitter. You can tweet him your questions. I see that there are still a few questions unanswered. I'm sure Adam will be very happy to have that conversation with you guys. On Twitter. He has YouTube account too. I'll put the link up. Thank you, Adam, for your sharing today.